Video log number 3, guys. So it's Saturday night, or night, 7:22 here in nice sunny Los Angeles, or I'd say hot Los Angeles. So I have both fans directed towards here, and I'm trying to save some electricity, so I left the AC off this time around. It's vlog day. What do I have to talk about today? I'll talk about the update for the mechanical mod. I have been getting pretty much a lot of questions about that as well. And kind of a update for the variable voltage homemade mod that I made. And one quick thing is when I was just uploaded this video, but when I was making this triple twisted 28 gauge, what I noticed, just swapped out the battery right now. What I noticed was when I was making that video, the battery was at like 3.3 volts. It was pretty much dead, and it was still producing that much vapor. So when I said this thing chucks, like this is a vapor producer, I really meant it. It produces more vapor than my dual coil, dual twisted 28 gauge Canpal Nano coils that I had on my Omega. So hopefully with the full charge battery I can go and show you, but like I said, I do have two fans blowing in my face at the moment, and it's cooling me off just a little bit. So we'll go to the update for the Altoids homemade box mod. What I noticed was like a 1 volt voltage drop on this sucker, and I was just kind of I stopped using it because it had so much voltage drop, and I decided to kind of clean it up. So if you look at that now, I got rid of a whole bunch of wire. I just started snipping them off, and I just started welding everything. So I'm no longer using the crimp quick detaches for the switch. I actually welded it on there. If you take a look at that, I did use all welds. This crimper right here, I didn't crimp it. I just I twisted the wires together. I just tinned it, and then I put it into that crimper, and I poured weld down the hole so that it's welded. Everything is welded, and what I noticed now is that on a 1 ohm load, it'll give me like a 0.1 volt voltage drop, which is nothing. So this thing is hitting like a beast. It's keeping up there with all the monsters. Okay, let's go turn off the fans now, just to kind of show you the vapor production. Isn't that my Cheetos? Baby, that's my Cheetos.
This is my Cheetos.
No, Jason gave me 2 bags.
No, Jason gave me 2 bags.
No. So my wife has stolen my flaming hot Cheetos.
No.
So this thing freaking produces. No, that's a lot of nicotine. This thing produces like the top contender mechanical mods now. It is producing some crazy vapor. So that's my update. I've been loving this little mechanical mod. I have it on a Genesis with a 0.7 ohm coil, I believe. It's been hitting like a beast. So pretty good. The update on my variable voltage mod, there's really not much difference. I took out the Sony VTC4 batteries, so I use that for sub-ohming, and I put FST batteries in there, the 18650s. What I noticed is these don't supply as much power as the Sonys do, but they still work perfect. At lower voltages, say 3 to 6 volts, these batteries perform the same. 6 volts and higher, I noticed that Sony does produce a little bit better results. But I don't vape that high anyways, so that is that. If you see, everything is welded on here. I did this from the start. The switch is welded, everything. The LED display for the voltage is loaded. If you click that on, that's gonna be the voltage. The pentometer here, you could use to control the voltage. It goes up to 7.7 volts, and it's just been performing flawlessly. Now I had this at 5 volts, but I was supplying too much voltage to those coils and I was tasting burnt. So what I noticed at 4.5 volts, taking longer draws, it does perform quite well. And that is off a tank, guys. This is freaking magnificent. You can't do that with a mechanical mod because you can't stabilize it at 4.5, right? Also, what I noticed is this thing, it drains the battery freaking evenly. So surprised. I did check the Sony voltages, and there was an even 3.3 volts at the end of its life. This one, and the freaking battery lasts forever, and they are stacked, so it shouldn't really last forever, but it does. Okay, probably because I'm popping off higher ohms on this thing. But I actually built a dripping atomizer specifically for this setup, so that I could actually start cranking up the volts. I wrapped the coils to 4 point some odd ohms, and just so that I could crank up the voltage. Let me see if I can find it. I think this is the one I did on the Helios. I used 32 gauge Canthal and made a nano coil on this sucker. And apparently I gotta screw it down just a little bit more. That means the beauty ring's gotta go in. There we go. And whew. Okay, so this coil is a nano coil that I wrapped specifically for this setup so that I could crank up the voltage. But what I noticed was it works on pretty much any APV. Crank it up to 6 volts or 15 watts and it vapes fantastic. It also vapes fantastic with just the 12 watt devices like the Kick. I've been doing that. Where is my e-juice? There it is. So let's go ahead and fill it up and I'll just show you how it performs. And I'll show you the coil as well. How I actually set this up, I'm going to do a review on this Helios. I was going to give it a really bad review actually. But after I kind of did a lot of fiddling with it, I noticed that this style wicking is the best. That coil, that is 32 gauge Canthal, and this thing just shoots out at you. I'm gonna go ahead and up the voltage. Again, right now I don't have any fingernails, but actually it's enough to kind of crank the voltage up on the sucker out there at 6.4 volts. Woo! 6.4 volts. Should I go higher? 6 point, no. 6. I like 6 volts, so let's go 6.3 volts, okay? Vaping the sucker at 6.3 volts. Let's go ahead and put that cap back on. And this is a 4 ohm coil, guys. On a 4 ohm coil. Amazing. So this thing performs awesome. I do like vaping this at 6 volts, so I could pretty much use any one of my variable voltage devices. It's a performer. And I should be dry. It's kind of... Yep, I'm dried it out. So that's my little update on this. It's freaking awesome. If you want to build one yourself, I do recommend it highly. It is a very, very good mod. Although it only has a 3 amp switch on the board, or 3 amp current limit, what I notice is it hits harder than pretty much my other devices. And I'm saying this comparing it to the Vamo, because the Vamo is what I kind of consider the standard for APVs. Whew. Okay, but maybe popping this one out to 6.3 volts is not a good idea. Let's go ahead and drop this down to the voltage I like it at. I'm not sure if you can see me, but I just turned my finger on it. 4.9, no. Let's go 4.6. Yes, 4.6 is good. Again, this is zero nic. This is from my wife. She just, whenever I vape, she always goes, let me try some. And what I vape has nicotine in it. My wife does not smoke. So this is basically hers. She claimed this big old box, and you should see it when she vapes it. Freaking covers her whole face. It's just like, that's how she holds it. It's a big hunk of machinery here, but she likes it better than the smaller mods. I don't know why. I actually kind of prefer this as well. It is huge and clunky, but it just feels so solid. And the size does not kind of make you say, I don't want it. The size makes you say, I want it more. Amazing vape for what it is. Let me just open up that air hose a little bit more. Much better. Again, freaking great vape. I have on and off switch down here. Everything works flawless. I'll go ahead and put that on my wife's side of the desk now because she did claim that. So that's my little update for the homemade mods, the 2 homemade mods that I did make. Now the triple twisted 28 gauge. When you saw the video for that, the battery was pretty much dead. So let me go ahead and give you a little demo of what this little coil could do. It is equivalent to a 21.5 gauge, or just 21 gauge. So it is kind of there at the lower end of the spectrum. I did have to drill these holes out even more just to kind of support the airflow for the coil. I still need to drill them out bigger, but because I built other setups on this, I'm not going to. Thing's a beast. For a single coil. Single coil. Man. Thing performs better than I even imagined. It pretty much gives me the same amount of vapor, or even more vapor, than my dual coil setups running twisted 28 gauge with two 20 gauge wires. So that's kind of what I want to go over as far as updates go. This is a vlog, so I'm just gonna kind of give you a day-to-day of what's gonna happen, what's up to come. The up to come is that Helios. I do have to do a review on it, but I've been kind of hesitant because I was going to give it a very bad review, right? Because I pretty much, the 20-30 coils I tried on that just didn't perform quite the way I wanted to. I don't want to drill out the holes because it's kind of an oval shape. I don't want to deal with that, and I've been drilling out so many different holes and so many different devices, and I kind of wanted a device that works great out of the box type of deal. But once again, they are clones. I'm pretty sure the actual legit Helios, I say legit, but the original Helios will probably perform a lot better. Although the way I vape very airy, and then most people here on YouTube that vape pretty airy because they produce a crap ton of vapor. I forgot to put juice on that. But I'm definitely gonna build more setups with this triple twisted 28 gauge. It is intriguing me very much, and it's a single coil, so I don't have to worry about the wick drying evenly or it heating up. When you wrap dual coils, guys, one coil is always gonna get more power than the other. Okay, how electricity flows is it flows to the area with the least amount of resistance, kind of in a sense. Yes, yes. Okay, so when I have a big 12-volt line here, right? Let's just say it's a 12-volt line, and all the other devices are kind of grounded. Okay, so you have 12 LEDs all resisted at different levels. What it will light up first, okay? We'll say first because it's light speed. Is the LED with the lowest resistor on there, okay? So LED with the lowest resistor on there will light up brighter and faster than, let's say, something that has an 800 ohm resistor on there. Okay, that's how electricity flows. Alright, so I kind of went off topic on. Man, this thing produces so much vapor. So this is why I love single coils, because you don't have to worry about one coil burning harder than the other. When you look at it, they look exactly similar, but one kind of lights up first before the other one. And if you hold it, one glows brighter than the other one. And you're like, they look exactly the same. Well, that's why the dual coil setup I have on there, I kind of wrapped it, I adjusted it, fiddled it for like 20 minutes, and then kind of got it to glow evenly. Not all the way. One coil still glows brighter than the other, but as even as I can. And I've had that coil there for like a month. I'm not going to touch it. I'm not going to build another one because then I don't want to fidget with it again. So I do the Rip Tripper's cleaning method, which I tried, Mr. Rip Tripper. And if the coil is kicked too bad, it does not look brand new anymore. And using twisted gauge, even if I go put it under the flowing water, it still doesn't get it all that clean. But it does get it cleaner than any other way. What I usually do is actually I heat it up and I get a sponge, not a sponge, a piece of cotton. I put it on my tweezers or my pliers, get it wet, and I clean it like this as it cools down. And I notice that gets it pretty clean as well. I'm still shocked at how well this coil performs. Besides that, that's why I kind of like single coil builds. Single coil builds that produce a crap ton of vapor, crap ton of flavor. It's there, guys. Just because it's dual coil doesn't mean it's gonna outperform a single coil. Let's see you build a dual coil 32 gauge wire, or even a dual coil, and then try to outperform this triple twisted 28 gauge wire. Freaking amazing. I'm pretty sure I could get more vapor out of this if I had better airflow. I know I'm producing more vapor than I am able to mix with air. And if you looked at it seriously, this looks like a choo-choo train. Choo-choo! Looks like a train. See how much vapor that thing produces? On a single coil. And oh, that dried it up already. So this thing does perform like no other, and I am a good amount of distance away from that camera. Ooh, that's hot. So I'll try to get a little closer, but this thing is insane amount of vapor. I wish I don't want to get any closer, but this is just, it's just a scary amount of vapor it produces, right, on a mechanical mod. So I am pushing 0.3 ohms. Although if I did push 0.3 ohms on a single regular old 28 gauge Canthal, not twisted, it will not perform the same. Sorry, I'm talking too much about this coil. It's the first one I did. I'm loving it. So, amazing, amazing vapor protection, amazing flavor. At the same time, it is not a hot vape at all, which I love. I don't like those really hot vapes. Man, it's so good. Okay, so let's put this away. This is my new setup for my daily vape. I'm going to be vaping like this, and only like this for quite a bit of time until I find another setup that I like. I'm using the Nimbus clone. This thing's awesome on a M-Flux drip tip that I actually bored out the middle myself with the drill bit. So I do have a maximum amount of airflow. Let's go ahead and take a sip of my water. What else can I let you guys know? As you guys know, I spindle my own kind of coil like this. This is twisted here, and this is the regular here, twisted here. And I do this as far as convenience, because when I do build coils, I don't want to twist wires all the time. And how a triple twisted coil looks, it looks like that. It's a lot stiffer, quite a bit stiffer actually. I could probably, you can see how stiff it is. Like, just, you know, it's incredibly stiff, but it does coil perfectly fine. This side is a little bit bent. So I do recommend this for anyone that does want to have a single coil setup. And that are those super sub-ohmers, those guys that are chasing clouds. I recommend that setup. I prefer to use 28 gauge. I just do any lower gauge. Seems a little bit harder to work with, I guess you could say. That 28 gauge is thin enough where I can mold it the way I want it. At the same time, it's thick enough where it won't snap or break or be too flimsy. Okay, I had a sample of a 24 gauge that I was using for a little bit, and it was good. By far, it was good. But I really like the flavor I get from a twisted wire. I don't know why, but what I noticed about twisted wires is that it just gives so much more flavor. The performance is there, but the flavor is just immense. So I'm loving the twisted. I should really. And I'm using I believe this is 70 PG 30 VG, and I'm producing this much vapor, guys. So could you imagine if I was using a more heavy VG fluid? This thing would produce even more vapor, thicker vapor, not more vapor. So that's about it for this week's vlog, guys. Let me know if you want to see other things. As far as that goes, my Vamo is pretty much dead now. I'm not this close to ripping out the PCB in that, or just maybe just fixing it. But that 510 connector in there is shorting out more and more. That's because that piece of rubber in there keeps popping out. and this is touching the positive terminal against the background. I'm tired of pushing the sucker in because, yeah, if you push it in, it'll work, but I have to keep doing it for it to work consistently, and it's getting annoying. Poor Vamo. It did serve me so well. So well. So that's an update on the Vamo. Pretty much my vlogs are pretty much all updates. Whatever I had updating. I noticed this is getting kind of long, so I'm going to go ta-da or toodaloo for tonight. I will do more review videos as time goes on during the week, whenever I have the time to do it. Some weeks I'll put up 3, 4 videos, and other weeks I'll just put up 1, 2. But Saturday nights I'll definitely always make a vlog and kind of update on what's going on here. Alright, thanks for watching.